Good morning, or almost good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to thank you for inviting me. As you rightly said, unfortunately I have to leave early, so I will miss my other colleagues, and I apologize in advance. I would like to address the issue of refugees and borders. 2 or 3 months ago, we were invited to the Bundestag, and we opened for the first time a dialogue, which is called P2P, between us and the Bundestag members, based on shared interest and values. And the first topic that was selected for this meeting was immigration, migration, absorption. Our colleagues from the Bundestag wanted to hear Israel's experience, how to absorb refugees, which is meaningful because of many reasons that you can assume. Of course, we cannot and we shouldn't compare between Olim who came or immigrated to Israel since actually before 1948 and after, millions of people. Actually, all the Knesset members in the room had some roots with immigrants, or Olim, who came to Israel during the history of the country from the very beginning until Ethiopian Jews who came from Ethiopia in the past 20 years. But it was nice to hear that our colleagues from Germany were interested to hear about Israel's experience. How do you observe so many people in a short time? What kind of culture they are getting into? Are you still siding with the idea of melting pot or multiculture on the other hand? And so on and so forth. We didn't discuss the financial economic issues which are very much related to that, because I will never compare Israel in any single time to Germany. I don't know if this is their issue. But the question was whether a country like Germany should have opened its borders to newcomers, and especially in the magnitude of over 1 million people. We also visited the refugee camp, and we had the chance to meet with them, and we just saw by our own eyes how difficult and complex the issue is. So first of all, I have to say, it's my personal view that I'm very much impressed by the decision made actually by the Chancellor to absorb that many refugees. It wasn't popular at the time. It is much less popular now. Many issues come up as a result of the influx of immigrants to Germany, and it's just the beginning of the process. It's not, cannot, and that's what we were told, you cannot compare it to the Turks' work, that the workers from the Turkish workers who came to Germany during the years. They were coming. First of all, they're coming for a short time. They extended their stay in Germany, but also they came on a different background. They came for a job, and then they stayed. It did have an influence on Germany today, but it's uncomparable to the issue of the refugees from Syria, and by the way, from other states as well. But it seems like the Germans are confident they can do the job. They found a certain system. Again, language, culture, you can imagine. But my personal view, it's a very human gesture based on probably on German values, today's German values, and I personally felt very, very good about that, and that Germany took upon itself. Well, where does Israel stand when it comes to the Syrian refugees? I would say in general that we are watching the scene from the distance. We're not getting involved to the Syrian scene whatsoever. This is the official policy. When it comes to military and strategic considerations, it's fine. When it comes to human considerations, it's much less. The chair of the Labour Party, MK Herzog, like a few months ago, just raised the idea that maybe Israel should absorb some of those refugees. And this idea was attacked everywhere and by almost anyone in Israeli public. I cannot remember anyone who said, I did, by the way, but anyone who said, well, we have enough refugees of ourselves. We don't need anyone from outside. And even if they come from Syria on the background of this terrible civil war there, it's not our business. For me, as an Israeli, it was hard to hear those opinions because I still believe that Israel has a role in general in the world, if I may, but even in our region too. And if we can and should, again, this is my personal view, observe some of them. I'm not saying that hundreds of thousands will come, millions of refugees, but some of them Israel should have, in my view, again, absorbed, maybe on the Golan Heights, somewhere, temporarily, okay, until the war is over. Well, one day, hopefully, it will be over. But to show that we are not indifferent to what is going on in Syria, especially when it comes to the human aspects. I'm saying again, I'm not dealing with the military and not even the political situation in Syria, which is unbelievable. I'm just talking about people that were forced to leave their homes, sometimes families, and were forced out and were looking for shelter. And where are we? I'm speaking about the Jewish state. Israel is the Jewish state, a state of refugees. A state that some sons, daughters, second, third generation of refugees have just met members of the Bundestag to talk about immigration. Just an example. But anywhere you go, you ask Israelis, where are they from? 90% of them were not born in Israel. Either they themselves or their parents or their grandparents came from somewhere. And I think this is our responsibility as human beings. Maybe not, I said again, not too many of them. Okay, well, we can do what we can do. When Menachem Begin became Israel's prime, was elected for the first time as Israel prime minister, this was 1977, one of his first gestures as prime minister was to observe refugees from Vietnam. Not too many. Refugees are refugees. I'm ready to hear. You don't like what I'm saying. That's fine. I'm ready for that. You know, in the Knesset, it's much worse. So, listen, I'm trained now. 8 years ago, I would have been offended. Now I welcome your remarks. You know, but just invite them to. No, that's fine. Sorry. No, I'm not looking for it. I'm telling you. I know it wasn't popular. But I believe Israel, as I said before, the Jewish people has a role in this world. Is it naive? No, not to my opinion. And Israel has a role, even in this region. Now, we did receive a number of wounded people who were wounded during the war in Israel. I think they were treated in Nahariya somewhere, in one of the hospitals there. I don't know the number, between 1,000 to 1,500. Okay, that's nice. That's the minimum we can do, and we did. And they were all, or most of them, already returned to Syria. That's fine. It's not enough, if you ask me. I look at what's going on 100 kilometers from here, a massacre, a genocide, call it whatever you want, and we are just watching the scene. It's not a transfer of weapons from Syria to the Hezbollah that Israel has a lot to say about. It's not any strategic change. It's not the Syrian involvement. Well, in any development in Syria, Israel has an open eye, and sometimes some other things are open. I'm just speaking about the human aspects of this crisis, and I express my own view. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, I'll continue. I believe, as I said before, that Israel has a lot to offer when it comes to refugees and borders. Now, generally to the situation in Syria, as I said before, I'm a member of the Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee. I still remember the head of the Mossad at the time, the late Meir Dagan, and the chief of staff, and other military and intelligence experts that told us that it's going to be a matter of a few weeks. Assad is finished. The war will be short. And as you know, when it comes to intelligence assessments, it went down the drain. Nothing has changed. In principle, the war goes on. The situation is getting more and more complex. If you see the map of Syria today, you see it's a lot of colors, and each color represents another organization, another military presence of either this power or that power. Impossible to understand the situation down to the last point. But Israel has an interest in Israel. Israel is very concerned about the general situation. We would like to see what will be the outcome. We don't know what will be the outcome, but in some cases it also touched our border, and we, of course, reacted right away. When it comes to the Druze, Israel has a very clear position. We wouldn't let anyone touch the Druze living in Syria, and that message was delivered to all the acting powers, which sometimes it's hard to identify. But everyone in Syria knows that when it comes to the Druze who are living in Syria, from some historical reasons and the reasons that deal with the present too, we have an interest to keep the Druze intact when it comes to the present situation, and that message, as I said before, was delivered. Again, we are waiting to see what will be the outcome. We just built or renewed the fence in the Golan Heights. At this stage, all the borders of Israel have now fences. It has never been the Zionist dream to have a state which is surrounded with fences, electronic fences, other fences, but there's no alternative. If it helps, it helps. So we had to change our military deployment in the Golan Heights, of course, and also to build a new fence, so it will help to prevent anyone from coming in. Of course, I'm not speaking about refugees in this case, but about all kinds of terrorist organizations, ISIS and others that are active in Syria, and we would not like to see them coming for a short or long visit in Israel. By that, I conclude my short remarks, and I thank you very much. And my friend, you can come to the Knesset, and we'll continue our conversation. Thank you very much.